On Friday's Wales at 6.
Are you with us?
Yeah! Nigel Farage speaks out about his former Welsh ally now facing jail over Russian bribes.
Do you know what? Tell me a human being who hasn't at some point in their lives been surrounded by someone that betrayed them and let them down.
Also tonight, Welsh high streets are getting quieter, with malls taking the biggest hit. So what's behind the shopping slump? Plus, she broke political barriers more than a century ago. Now Wales' first female mayor gets her moment in the spotlight. And swapping chef's whites for green fingers. We meet the culinary star plating up plant-based goodness straight from his garden. Hello, good evening. Reform UK leader Nigel Farage says he's horrified at disgraced former MEP Nathan Gill, who admitted taking bribes from a Ukrainian ally of Russia. On a visit to South Wales today, Mr Farage claimed he'd told Gill not to go to Ukraine. Gill, who previously led Reform in Wales, pled guilty to 8 counts of bribery last month and is now awaiting sentencing. Our correspondent Richard Morgan has tonight's top story.
Are you with us?
Nathan Gill was once literally Nigel Farage's right-hand man in Wales. But it's now known that at the time these pictures were taken, Gill was taking bribes to make statements in favour of Russia in the European Parliament. On Mr Farage's first visit to Wales since Gill pleaded guilty, I asked him what he knew. When did you first know about the allegations facing Nathan Gill?
When we were in the European Parliament, and I'm sort of thinking 2019, he and one of his colleagues said, "We're going off to Ukraine, do you want to come?" I said, "You must be mad." You know, I said, I really don't think you should go. It's a country beset by corruption. They defied my will, but not for a minute did I imagine he'd be engaging with a double agent there. Absolutely horrified.
Does this make you a bad judge of character?
Do you know what? Tell me a human being who hasn't at some point in their lives been surrounded by someone that betrayed them and let them down.
Nathan Gill was elected to the then Welsh Assembly in 2016, but it was in his role as an MEP that he admitted to making pro-Russia statements in return for money, pleading guilty last month to 8 charges of bribery. A former Reform leader in Wales taking bribes from the Russians, it's hugely damaging for the party, isn't it?
It would be if he was still in the party. Yes, mercifully he hasn't been for several years. Look, it's awful, it's terrible, it's a classic, clear-cut case of corruption, and he's going to get his just desserts.
Nigel Farage hasn't worked alongside Nathan Gill since 2020. Gill quit his post as Reform leader in Wales the following year. Today, Mr Farage moved to condemn his former colleague, but the fact a once trusted lieutenant is facing jail for bribery will, for some, raise questions about his judgment.
Well, Richard's here in the studio now. Rich, Nigel Farage spoke out today, but this isn't going away, is it?
Well, it's certainly not the last time Nathan Gill will be in the headlines, Katie. He's due back at the Old Bailey on November the 21st for sentencing, and his defence barrister has acknowledged that Mr Gill will be facing a substantial jail sentence. Now, for a man who was once a regular, well-known face on the Welsh political scene, it's quite the fall from grace, and as we saw there, the reverberations are still being felt.
OK, Richard, thank you very much. An ex-South Wales firefighter has been found guilty of racially abusing staff and causing damage at a Chinese takeaway. 35-year-old Gareth Hancock from Bryn Mawr urinated on the floor of the Tredegar takeaway and made racist comments. Our reporter Mike Griffiths is at Cardiff Crown Court for us this evening. Mike, what else was said then today?
Well, Katie, this relates to events on a Friday night at the start of June in 2023 at the Yummy Chinese takeaway in the centre of Tredegar. Gareth Hancock, who was working for the fire service at the time, had finished his day shift and then joined a group of colleagues at a pub in the centre of Tredegar. He told the courts they'd been buying rounds. He himself had drunk between 6 to 8 pints that evening. 4 of the group, including Hancock, then made their way to the takeaway to order food. Now, the trial heard from a young member of the family who owns it, Juan Chen, who said that Hancock's behaviour from the start was aggravating. He had been opening and closing the door to sound the door alarm repeatedly before becoming impatient while waiting for his food, banging on the counter, swearing, before using racist language to describe both the food and directed at members of the family. The trial also saw CCTV of the moment that Hancock urinated against the takeaway counter. When challenged at the time, he'd claimed that the puddle beneath him was beer, despite the fact that the takeaway didn't sell beer and Hancock and the group hadn't brought any drinks in there with them. He, in court, then claimed that the footage showed him adjusting his skinny jeans repeatedly, but the jury didn't believe him, convicting him of criminal damage.
OK, so those are the details from today. What happens next?
Well, Hancock no longer works for South Wales Fire and Rescue Service. The jury took less than 3 hours to find him guilty on both counts. Today, Judge Carl Harrison released him on bail ahead of sentencing next month, but warns him all options are open and that the court takes racially aggravated offences very seriously. He'll be sentenced on November the 14th.
OK, Mike in Cardiff for us. Thanks very much indeed. Plaid Cymru leader Rhynap Iorwerth says his party is ready to replace Labour in leading the next Welsh Government. Speaking at his party's autumn conference in Swansea today, he told delegates that a Plaid Cymru government would have new energy and enthusiasm. There for us this evening is our political editor Adrian Masters. Adrian, how realistic are these claims?
Well, Katie, this certainly looks like Plaid Cymru's best chance in 26 or 27 years, as it will be next year, of devolution, of getting into power. There are lots of ifs, lots of buts, but the party that's meeting here in Swansea certainly has a spring in its step. Starting them young, the Plaid Cymru leader was at a nursery in Swansea to start off his party's annual conference. He was hailing a new promise to offer free childcare for every child up to the age of 4. This conference sees the party in a very good mood. Our recent poll put Plaid Cymru top, even if it is closely followed by Reform UK. But in his speech, it was Labour that was in the leader's sights.
Let's be clear, we're not here to act as Labour's conscience. We are not here to repair Labour, we are here to replace them.
And there was that childcare pledge.
I'm announcing that a Plaid Cymru government would introduce a transformative, new, universal free childcare programme, available for all children from the age of 9 months to 4 years, building towards providing at least 20 hours a week for 48 weeks a year.
That went down well in the hall and has won him some headlines. Will it win votes? Rhynap Iorwerth is leading a party that's clearly confident and with good cause. The polls are looking good. But the risk for Plaid Cymru over the next 7 months is it could become overconfident. And it's all very well to talk about replacing Labour. This from the party that's often in the past worked with Labour, most recently in a cooperation agreement under the previous leader. People are legitimately asking those questions of you as a party now.
One thing that actually surprised me, that spontaneously yesterday, more than once it came up with me, people volunteering that they liked the idea of political parties, of politicians, working together on ideas where there was common ground, where by doing that they would make a real difference, and that people are fed up with this sort of pantomime of politics where people are always just having a go at somebody and looking for division, which is a very Westminster thing.
In the pantomime of politics, Plaid Cymru has sometimes struggled to find a leading role. Right now, it genuinely thinks it might be able to take centre stage. And the man that was centre stage is now at this side of the stage, Rhynap Iorwerth, the leader of Plaid Cymru. I've talked a lot in my report there about how you are ahead in the polls, but you're only just ahead.
Yeah, and not taking anything for granted. There's 7 months to go. It's 7 months of rolling our sleeves up and building that trust further with the people of Wales. We can see the polls are looking positive, but we move on from here.
Complacency could be a real danger.
Absolutely, that's very dangerous. But I think there's a pattern that has been making itself quite obvious in recent months by now, which is that Labour has been falling so far behind. And it is a choice, essentially, between two directions. The vision of Plaid Cymru, the division of reform, that positive programme that we have on offer.
You say division, but they are almost neck and neck with you in the polls, and people are liking what Nigel Farage and Reform are saying.
Well, I think there's a global phenomenon here. We can't bury our heads in the sand. Wherever you look in the world, we're seeing the growth of the populist right, with simple answers seemingly to complex issues. You know, pitching neighbour against neighbour. Let's focus actually on who's to blame for the problems of housing, the NHS, and it's governments for not taking the right action.
It seems to be answers that people like. People are turning to those answers.
Well, and they're liking what they're hearing from Plaid Cymru too, and it's good to be ahead in the polls at this stage, but there's so much work to do because this is a historic opportunity for Wales, and I want to make sure that we grasp it if we possibly can.
You are a party, you are a person who believes in independence for Wales. That you briefly mentioned it in your speech. Why play it down for this conference?
I don't think it's playing it down. I mean, there's a context here. I want people to think of the debate on independence just as a debate on could things be done better in Wales. Why wouldn't we want to have a conversation about whether things could be done better? I don't think this right now is the best that things could get for Wales on education, on health, on jobs and so on. So let's have that debate, but ultimately that's in the hands of the people of Wales.
But the polls again show that there's still a minority of people want independence. It's not a popular position.
I mean, this isn't an independence election that we have next year. I've made that very, very clear. But
a vote for you is a vote for an independence party. That's what I'm getting at.
It's a vote for a party that believes in Wales. And I think that's what people are warming to, even if they're not totally convinced themselves. Come with us on the journey.
Not just totally unconvinced, but unconvinced, not just not convinced.
But look at the figures now, that the huge growth, not just in people supporting independence, but who want to learn more about it. That's what I'm asking. Come on a journey, see if things can be better than now. I think they could be.
Queen Ebiowa, thank you for talking to me tonight here in Swansea. And Katie, the Plaid Cymru conference, which, as I say, has a spring in its step with some ifs and buts that I mentioned at the beginning, that conference carries on here in Swansea tomorrow.
Great. Adrian, thank you. And to Rina Ebiowa, thank you both. Still to come, Ruth's here. What have you got for us then?
Well, where to start? The weekend, of course, is just a few hours away now. The weather looks fair for the next few days, if a little on the dull side. But from grey to green, we meet the chef who's connecting with nature by growing his own ingredients.
But first, the number of shoppers heading to Welsh high streets fell by 2.5% last month compared to the same time last year. The data shows shopping centres were hardest hit, with the number of customers dropping by nearly 7%. Our reporter Isa Farfel is in Pontypridd for us this evening. Isa, what does this mean for shoppers and businesses then?
Good evening, Katie. Well, it means Wales isn't doing great when it comes to shoppers hitting the high street. Footfall dropped again in September, and the latest figures show Wales had the biggest decline anywhere in the UK, and Cardiff was hit the hardest. And as we head into the so-called golden quarter before Christmas, retailers are worried about what this could mean for their shops. I've been out speaking to business owners and experts to see the impact for myself. Fewer people are hitting the high street. New figures show footfall in Wales dropped again last month, down 2.5% on last year. It means once again Wales is the worst performing nation in the UK.
I just think there's just not enough on the high street to encourage people to come into towns and cities anymore.
Sometimes it's just easier to do it online rather than having to come in and bump into people.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot more people shop online than they do coming into Cardiff or supporting local businesses, just because how easy it is to access things online. But yeah, I like to support local brands.
The timing of this couldn't be worse. The golden quarter of trading has only just begun, the months many traders rely on all year. And for small businesses like this one, the drop in footfall is already being felt.
It's quite sad, it's quite frustrating, especially because people can ask me a question, why this guy don't leave the shop? But something it is. In one point, the shop was working really good, and another point, you got 10 years contract that you had to stick with. Of course, the impact is something really serious. It's a big impact. It's like, you know, death deadly impact, I can say. And it's not like slowly, something happening dramatically, and all the time it goes more worse.
And Cardiff has been hit the hardest. Footfall here dropped by more than 7% in September.
It's a really concerning set of figures because what we're seeing is a very difficult picture for Welsh high streets, one where consumer confidence is subdued, it's low, and it's being exacerbated by the cost pressures that retailers are facing right across the nation, which is compounding their ability to be able to invest and grow on Welsh high streets.
The last month has been great, actually. We've got a new collection coming out tomorrow.
But not everyone is struggling. The feeling here in the Royal Arcade is more positive.
We moved here 3 years ago and it's grown over the years. Been trading for 9 years now in another location in Cardiff as well. For us, it's been great. It's, you know, there's ups and downs, same as all businesses. So for us, yeah, it's great to be able to kind of build that community and environment that people want to come back to, but also a welcoming space for people to want to come into for the first time as well.
And with Christmas around the corner, traders are hoping for a stronger finish to the year as they wait for slow sales to take off. Well, those figures are not the best news for Welsh retailers. Footfall is down, business rates are rising, and with the Christmas period about to kick in, many shops are hoping for a last-minute boost. The Welsh Government says it's offering extra support, including nearly £80 million in business rate relief next year to try to keep high streets alive. But for many traders, the next few months could be make or break.
OK, well, let's hope that things pick up for high streets soon, Issa. Thank you very much. Ask anyone to name a pioneer in Welsh politics and the answer is likely to vary. But in Brecon today, there was one name on everyone's lips. Gwenllian Morgan was the first woman to be elected to local government in Wales back in 1907 and later became Mayor of Brecon. Now, a sculpture of her has been unveiled in the town to honour her work. Caddy Gwyn-Edwards reports.
An important day in the history of Brecon, as a statue to honour Wales's first female mayor, Gwenllian Morgan, was unveiled. A pioneer whose story seemed to have been lost in the history books.
She never took no for an answer. She believed that women could achieve exactly the same things that men could achieve in the political environment and the social environment, and she was a huge advocate of education for women, votes for women.
You only have to look around at this room to notice countless portraits and carvings of men who were influential in the community. But now at its centre is Gwenllian Morgan, wholly deserving of that same recognition.
The first woman in Wales to be elected to take part in local government, she became Mayor of Brecon in 1910, 8 years before women had the right to vote. And among those commemorating Wales's first female mayor was Wales's first female First Minister, Eluned Morgan.
It's an extraordinary story. She transformed Brecon, she was loved in the community, and she helped to lead the peace petition, and we didn't know her story. And what's great today is that she is being recognised all these years later, and it's because of the work that people like her that people like me have been able to come through.
From sculptures to statues to plaques, Wales is beginning to celebrate the remarkable women who helped shape its history. Caddy Gwyn-Edwards, ITV News in Brecon.
OK, let's take a look at the sport now.
Powering local sport in the community. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Cymru Wales Sports Report.
And to football, where Wales manager Craig Bellamy says his side needs to be more physical after last night's 3-0 defeat to England at Wembley. They now head into a crunch match with Belgium on Monday evening in a bid to qualify for next year's World Cup. Here's our sports reporter Matt Southcombe.
Wales knew they were in for a tough night at Wembley.
Conceding two very, very early made it difficult for ourselves. these teams will open you up, and they did, and so we had to suffer a lot of pain first half, especially. And that's what we have to get comfortable with. It's as simple as that. It's not, there's no hiding from it. And then full intensity Monday. It's a different game, different atmosphere. So we try and take all the positives and negatives as well from this game and move on quick.
Despite having very little to shout about, 7,000 Wales fans made the most of their trip up the M4. But as Bellamy sifts through the wreckage of Wales's worst performance under his management, positives might be hard to find.
Well, Matt's here now. A tough night in London then, and it's not getting any easier, is it?
No, very much so, Katie. But just to pause on last night for a second, Craig Bellamy is now coming in for a bit of criticism for scheduling a game against such high-quality opposition, so close to a crucial World Cup qualifying match. He said he wanted to find the level of his side and really benchmark them against a top team, and that's admirable. But now we're in the predicament of what you do when the answers you got are not necessarily what you wanted. Bellamy named a strong side, which changes the complexion of that result. Belgium are of a similar level to England, and now a bit of doubt might creep in to the players. Question marks over the psychological impact of that defeat at the worst possible time. But look, this block of fixtures was all about Monday night's game against Belgium. It's a crucial World Cup qualifier, and if Wales win, all will be forgiven and Craig Bellamy is a genius. But if they lose, their hopes of automatic qualification for the World Cup fade, and then there may be some difficult questions for Bellamy and the FAW.
OK, well, everyone will have everything crossed, I'm sure, for next week. Matt, thanks very much. And still to come now on the ITV Evening News.
Coming up on the ITV Evening News, a ceasefire begins in Gaza. As Israeli troops pull back, Palestinians start returning to their homes in the north. A deal was signed late last night. Within days, all hostages should be released. Also, the pride of Hyde's final journey through Manchester. Thousands line the streets as boxer Ricky Hatton is laid to rest. And the Moody Blues singer and bass guitarist John Lodge has died, aged 82. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Well, the time now then, Ruth. It's almost here.
It is, yes. We're counting down the minutes, aren't we? But the weather is looking suitably dull and gloomy for the weekend, but there's nothing like connecting with nature to bring a little cheer, as chef Gaz Oakley has discovered. Gaz fell in love with cooking at an early age and now grows his own vegetables and herbs, which he uses for his plant-based dishes.
Gaz Oakley spent decades working in top restaurants, but he's now swapped fine dining for green living and is harvesting homegrown vegetables and a touch of well-being from his own back garden.
I started off in the professional kitchens age 15 actually. I had a passion for cooking, I still do to this day obviously, and you know, a connection to food was there, but not like it is nowadays. You know, I now see the effort, the time, the dedication that goes into sowing seeds that now my cooking philosophy has changed, my whole philosophy on life in fact actually, but now I appreciate food so much more and my cooking so much better, so maybe one day I'll open that restaurant.
And Gaz's passion and excitement is a joy to witness.
Oh yes, there's a melon to harvest. This is a little melon called Rich Sweetness. It's just fallen off the plant. Look at the colour on that. It's like a tiger, isn't it?
Of course, I'm keen to have a taste.
Yeah, we'll see what it's
it
like.
Looks good.
Yeah, it looks all right. There's half of you and there's a spoon, but it'll be a waste if it doesn't taste good. So here it goes.
Let's go. It is sweet. I mean,
it's not bad.
And it's time to cook up more of the produce we've picked today. Gaz is barbecuing runner beans with a homemade chili sambal.
For me, it feels like true richness, you know, to being able to step outside and pick your dinner. That's the best feeling in the world, and it's free. Should we give it a taste?
Let's do it.
All right.
That is delicious. All those different flavours from the garden.
Yeah. Very proud of to be able to grow those chilies and peppers in Wales.
Yeah. Honestly, it makes it so much more special. Now, so I've seen you cook it, I've seen you pick it.
And that's why I just love, I love doing this stuff, because of this feeling right now, and sharing it with people too. It's the best feeling.
Yeah, that's great. From planting medicinal herbs to finding joy in growing your own food, Gaz Oakley hopes to plant more than seeds here in Wales. He hopes to cultivate change.
Well, if you weren't hungry before, sure you are now. You can see more on Hamish's chat with Gaz on Coast and Country tonight here on ITV1 Wales at 7 o'clock. So from green back to grey now, I'm sorry to say. Let's talk about the weather, because even though we are in for some sunshine over the weekend, as far as the next few days are concerned, the cloud will start to build and we have a great big area of high pressure. So what that does is settle things down. It will remain generally dry as we head into next week, but it traps all of that cloud. So sunshine is going to be in rather short supply. In fact, we're not going to see much of it at all. Now then, here that just means gloomy conditions, but for some parts of Europe it causes absolute chaos. So much so that our friends in Germany have given this prolonged grey patch a name, a good one for Scrabble this. It's called a Dunkelflaute. And what that means is that because places like Germany rely on the sun for solar power, the wind obviously for turbines, they're not going to get any of it. So the Dunkelflaute is not a good thing. However, it could be an awful lot worse. Let's take a look at our weather in a little more detail.
Today sees sunshine, sand and a spell of bamboo rafting. TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
Well, I think we can safely say all is calm out there at the moment. We've had an awful lot of cloud around today, but a lot of this will start to lift over the next few hours. And into the overnight stretch, we're looking at largely clear skies across much of Wales. And with a gentle breeze, that means the temperatures will drop. Possibly not cold enough for frost, but we could still see lows of around 5 or 6 degrees and some rather dense mist and fog developing through the hills and valleys by the early hours of tomorrow morning too. This will lift as we wake to the start of Saturday, and fingers crossed it should feel slightly more cheerful. That mist will lift, the cloud will start to lift, and we're looking at some really decent spells of sunshine. But because of the slow, misty, murky start, the temperatures perhaps taking a little bit longer to recover. So feeling just a little bit fresher than it has done today. Highs of 15 or 16, which is about actually where it should be at this time of the year. But certainly through Saturday night and into the early hours of Sunday morning, because of the gentle breeze, the high pressure, the combination of this settled theme, we'll see some really dense patches of mist and fog developing through much of the UK, and I think through central parts of Wales, mid Wales, and again in more sheltered spots. That mist could well be quite dense, taking quite a while to shift as we wake to Sunday. But it will do, and then Sunday is looking like a really rather lovely day. Blue skies and sunshine, and easterly airflow, a dry airflow. So in terms of temperature, again, slightly fresher, but about right really for the time of year. And as far as your outlook period is concerned into the start of next week, the high pressure just keeps on coming, continues to keep things fine and settled. Although I think you'll notice into next week, the cloud is going to be very stubborn, and sunshine is certainly going to be in rather short supply.
TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
See, I knew talking about a Dunkelflaute at this time of the day on the Friday night would grab your attention. I reckon a good one for pub quiz tonight.
Great German, Ruth. Well done. And that is it for now. Marie-Claire Kerry-Jones is here with the late update, but from the Wales at 6 team and me, have a lovely evening and weekend. Bye-bye.